Hey guys and girls, welcome back to another beautiful video on this beautiful channel, on this beautiful day. How are you guys and girls doing? Hope you're doing great as always. Please check out the description box for all the nice links. Also drop a like, subscribe if you like the content. Also, we'll be coming out with some Udemy courses, so check that out. Probably be about game development as well. But here we are. So today's video, I haven't done one of these start cards in a while, but the gist of this video is gonna be, god damn it, it's gonna be about combining some functions. So I saw that we have a bunch of functions working, a bunch of for loops separate. So I want to just combine those and make it into one enemy kind of for loop, which we'll use. We're going to check out enemies and HP, make sure we can hit some enemies, killing enemies as well, gaining XP. So those are the things I want to make sure we get in this video. So once we jump into the code, what are we going to do? Well, first of all, like I said, we just need to make sure we backtrack here. And I just want to update you guys on what we have been doing. So here is one for loop in update tile map, which we're calling for collision and stuff like that. That's cool. We have another one in update enemies, and then we have one in, I'm pretty sure we have one in render as well. Now that is something that we're gonna have to have. I mean, that's fine. It's worth it. Like in this case, it would be worth keeping these things separate, you know, because rendering is so separate from updating. I don't want to put everything in one for loop, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make sure this is the way it is. But these two I'm going to combine. And what I want to do is I want to combine this update combat into enemies. So this should be called update enemies and combat. And that makes most sense to me. Now you can do it whatever way you want, but I'm going to go and rename this to update combat and enemies. Okay. And that's going to be our function name. Update combat and enemies. Good. Also, it's going to be about tile collision enemies and whatever. We'll leave it at that. Let's just remove this. Control X that. Put it in here. And then we're going to remove this whole thing. So we'll keep the tile map separate. We'll update the tiles as we do. We'll update the enemy. Update its collision with the tile in the world. And also update combat. One thing we will require is a counter in here. Okay. And that counter is just going to be an integer. You can also use an unsigned counter. And we're going to start off at 0. And this is going to increase in here at all times. All right. Or we'll start at 0 and we'll increase it at the bottom. Counter. So I want you to use ++ instead of counter ++. So not a postfix, but a prefix. And that is because what that does is it's a little more optimized. It's not a big deal. Like, I mean, it really is not. But if you use this a lot, then I'd rather use the ++, unless you really specifically wanted to change its value after the operation. But here, in this case, as it's just a single statement here, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, that's a good thing. It's a good optimization thing. Just use that. And then we have our updating everything happening in the same function. I'm going to go ahead into update combat, and I'm going to create a counter. So const int let's see. Let's just call it index, actually. I'll call it index instead. And this is going to be the number of the enemy. Update combat index. And we will call it index up here as well. Index. And we'll just send index in here. Good. And I'm going to make this more explanatory. So we'll call it enemy instead of I, which is a lot better. We don't like using these bad variable names. I don't know why I've been doing that. I'm going to do the same thing in... Also, you want to change this in update, in the update function itself. I'm going to make sure it says enemies and combat here. Or update combat and enemies. That I'd say rather as good. Updating everything. No other for loops that I can see. This is going to be enemy. And just say enemy right there. player as well being updated there. Tile map is being updated, rendered. Everything seems to be fine. Always check that it's building and we're going ahead. Don't code a lot and go ahead and just, you know, check later if it works or not. Just do it in small increments. So now it's working. Hopefully this is working as well. Yeah, hit. Good. Next step is going to be to remove this hit because we know it's working. So I'm going to remove that. Or wait, we'll remove it once we have something valid here. But we had our enemy class, like we said. Let's go and recap here. Let's open up rat.cpp, and it says take damage here, lose HP, right? We have our generic enemy class, which does not have take damage, but that's because, you know, the component itself, the attribute component, is the one that takes damage. So we might have to redefine this for each and every one. What we could do, this is also a choice that we have. We could do this instead, which makes our life a little easier since every enemy should be able to take some damage. So we're going to have our update functions here. We're going to remove this, all of this like that. And then just remove that as well. So we'll call it take damage. We'll also do a virtual. And this is going to be a function that is overridable. Okay. It's already defined, but we're going to have to make an if statement in here. We're going to have to do a check. So if this attribute component exists, then we can do anything. All right. You can't take damage if you don't have an attribute component. So that's one hard-coded kind of limitation we're going to have here. So then we can do this attribute component take damage or lose HP. Shit, I don't know about that. I don't like having different names for these. Okay, we're gonna call this lose HP. All right, and we're just gonna do HP here. Final decision. I had a hard time deciding this, so I had to cut the video, but we're gonna go with that since it makes more sense. It looks nicer. I don't know. I can't really decide, but we'll keep it as lose HP. That's great. It's virtual as well. Make sure it's a virtual. And then you want to head into rat. And if you want to redefine it in rat, sure, go ahead and do it. If you want anything special to happen. But I'm going to remove it because because we're not going to use that function anyway. Well, the function we're going to use is lose HP. And that's going to happen in game state. So we're going to lose HP in here. That's good. That's number one. The next thing is enemy. We need a way to get HP here. So another thing we can do is we can do a virtual void get attribute comp. Sure. All right. And it's not a void. This is a attribute component pointer. Const attribute component pointer. So we're not supposed to be able to change it from here. All right. That can be too dangerous. We could send a reference instead. No, we'll keep it as a pointer. Never mind. Okay. Const. And this is just to get it. So this is a safe get. If this attribute component, then we're going to return this attribute component. Else return null pointer. And if we return a null pointer, obviously it doesn't exist and we're going to have an issue. So I'm going to make sure we write that. So in case we have a crash or anything, we'll know what happens. So std cout error enemy attribute component is not initialized. Okay, good. So we'll see what happens there. Just a little simple error. We'll return null pointer. So we can make a check for that as well in an if statement to check if an enemy has an attribute component or not. Losing HP is fine. We'll keep that as void. Nothing is going to happen. Very good. All right, very good. Very good. So we can return it. We can get the HP from the enemy itself. To check this, let's go ahead into game state. and just go ahead and do enemy lose HP 1, okay, and then std cout enemy get attribute component HP, and it is not in the protected, so that is kind of dangerous. No, it's not dangerous because it's const, so we can't change it. So that's why we secured it, so we can't really change everything directly. Keep it safe, keep it nice. Let's see if we get some printouts here. So if I hit this dude, okay, so 5 0, good, and it's not going less, it's gonna stay at 0 because we have a check for that. And if the enemy is dead, we will delete that enemy, and that's why we have our counter, which will make sure we just kill the enemy and jump out, basically. And that's how it's gonna be. Good, guys and girls, that's pretty much it for this video. I had some more things I wanted to do, but I didn't have time to do them. Took some time to fix all this stuff with enemy, but gaining XP and stuff, we're gonna get into that as soon as we make sure the enemy can die. All right, but the last card, the card we made, is gonna stay for the next video as well, so we'll make sure we'll, you know, check off all those points in the next one. But thanks for sticking with me, thanks for watching, take care. Hope you guys and girls are enjoying this series still, and yeah, just really appreciate the support. All right, I'll see you guys and girls in the next one. Bye bye.